This time on Finnegan's Garage, I am fabricating parts out of titanium to fix my mini truck. Then I'm giving it a bath to get it ready for the SEMA Show. That's right, the world's biggest automotive party in Las Vegas. This truck will be there, and you have a chance to go there with me. It's gonna be incredible. Stay tuned to the end of the video. I'll tell you how you can win your way into the best party of the year with cars and trucks and boats and all kinds of crazy stuff in the city of sin. Man, it is sweaty in the warehouse today. Let's see, it's July, it's Georgia, so of course it's humid. And today's a special day because finally we're working on the mini truck. That's right. This beautiful piece of machinery has been sitting on jack stands, on wheel dollies. Basically, it's been here ever since it got repainted. And the reason it's been here is our battery. Well, she no work. That's not supposed to look like that. She shouldn't be bowed out like that. And the reason the battery looks like that is one of the things that needs fixing on this truck is A, the ignition is what turns on the air compressors. B, the battery's mounted under the bed. And C, there's no remote terminals to charge the battery. So when the truck's aired out, laid flat on the ground, and the battery goes dead, you can't get a jack under this thing. You can't access the battery. You can't charge it. Basically, this thing's been sitting around forever because of all of that. And we're going to fix that in this video. And then we're going to throw on the new to us vintage, freshly machined BAD billet wheels. Yes, these are 17s. We're getting rid of the 20s because I went old school 90s graphic job. I'm going old school, early 90s 17s. And with any luck, by the end of this video, I can clean her up and go cruiser. But first, let's make it run again. All right, so not that I want to get closer to this battery, because clearly it's got issues, but I just wanted to point out something. This is an SPP 1200 battery. Came from Stinger Electronics. Great battery. Have nothing bad to say about this battery. It is not Stinger's fault. This thing just went and now it no longer works. This is the result of the way the truck is wired. This truck is wired where the air suspension air compressors that fill the reserve tank only kick on when the key is in the on position. Well, that means every time you go to start the truck, the compressors come on and drain the battery, making it difficult to start the truck. Well, this truck is carbureted. It has dual side draft carburetors on that old Toyota 4-banger. It is temperamental. It does not like to start. So what happens is you go to start the truck and you're cranking and cranking, but the air compressors are on, draining the battery. Sooner or later, the truck just doesn't want to start. And because the air suspension leaks, because they all do, they don't all leak bad, but this one leaks. It's always on the ground when it's parked, not just for style. It just ends up there because it leaks and falls down. So now you got a situation where you're trying to start the truck, the compressors are on, trying to fill the air tank. Eventually the battery goes dead, and you accidentally leave the key in the on position because the truck won't run, truck won't lift off the ground, yada, yada, yada. Well, at some point, the key got left in the on position when the battery was really, really low. I'm talking like it wouldn't even click the starter on the truck. And it was low enough to not start the truck, but it had enough juice for those air compressors to try to run. And while we weren't here in the shop, it melted. It had a constant draw from the air compressors, probably pulling in the neighborhood of, I would guess, 40 amps. And this is the end result. A lot of heat, the case expanded, just bad news. So I went to get another one, and I couldn't find a Stinger locally. However, I noticed this is the same case as an Odyssey PC1200. I think Odyssey might private label these for Stinger. No big deal. The prices are very similar. They're both great batteries. No big deal. I found this on Amazon, ordered it. It came in 2 days. There was a brief moment where I thought I got a used battery because it was covered in dust, which made it look scratched. And the terminals looked a little dirty on top, but I'm starting to think maybe it wasn't dirty at all. It was just very dusty and maybe not packaged as well as it could be. So anyway, The long-term solution for this deal is to install a new battery and install a proper set of remote battery terminals where you can access and hook a battery or a jump box to, or a battery charger. This truck doesn't have them. For the longest time, I had these tiny leads to keep a maintainer on it, but these are not large enough gauge cables to jumpstart the truck or, put a good amp load to it to maintain it while you're running, the air compressors or whatever. So what I'm going to do today is put a fresh battery in it, make it mobile, drive it home, then put battery size cables on this thing. I'm talking 2 gauge to remote jumper terminals, probably in the back corner of the truck where we can reach it. And if we have to jump start it, we have a place to do that. And, it's going to be better. I don't have the time to relocate the battery and rewire the truck because this battery is under the bed, and relocating and rewiring it is a massive job. I don't have time to do that. But long term, it's probably a good idea to put this back under the engine compartment where, it originally would have been. Problem right now is there's no inner fenders in these engine compartments. There's really nowhere to mount this. So, yeah. Today, putting this in. Hopefully, driving this home. We'll see. First, I got to jack it up, though, because I can't get under there. And the only way to jack it up is to use these wheel dollies, which thank God I had them. So we'll be fine. All right. Before we go under there, I need to move these terminals, which convert top post to side post. And these batteries are interesting because they have small threads in them. And this one's got Allen bolts holding it together. I'm actually going to remove our battery maintainer wiring because we really don't need that. Ooh, and these don't fit. Okay, these cases are slightly different. So if you look at the Stinger, it has a recess that's deeper here than this one over here, which allows you to put, okay, wow, these L brackets might not work. In fact, the thread's different. All right, hold on. I think the Odyssey PC 1200 will physically fit in the same space that the Stinger occupied. And fortunately, positive and negative are in the same locations, but the batteries are different. The Odyssey has a bigger thread and a more generous recess for hooking cables to. All right, this just got a little more complicated than I thought it was going to be. Let's see, can we fix it? Right, luckily, the Odyssey came with some bolts. And then you look, these will still work. I believe these are 10 millimeter. Oh yes, all right, that's going to go in there, thank goodness. There is just enough room. I'm going to steal a washer off the old battery. Now I got to go find a 10 millimeter wrench because more than likely it's lost unless a 7/16 works. Because sometimes 10 millimeter and 7/16 play. Okay, you don't want to over torque these because again, it is a metal insert with threads that is bonded into a plastic case, so you don't want to get too crazy with tightening these. In fact, I think there's a torque spec, I just don't know what it is. Now, I have to crawl into the truck and lift this battery up, back, in, slide it forward, drop it in there. Then I have to blindly put this on top and reach up and over and thread in a bunch of Allen bolts to hold this down. It's fun, I tell you. But it could be worse. I could be doing other things, less fun things today. All right. Going in there. I'm using this because this is an old school battery charger that is not automatic, which means no matter what condition our battery is in, it's going to attempt to charge it at whatever rate I tell it to, and for however long I tell it to do it. Unlike some automatic ones that sometimes with certain battery types just decide, oh, you're good, we're not going to charge you anymore. Turn it on. It's actually in start mode right now. Let's turn the key. I hear a fuel pump. I hear air compressors. It's alive! So key is on, but I'm not even trying to start the truck and the air compressors are on. That's bad. I'd much rather have it wired where you fire up the truck, engine's idling, alternator's doing its thing, then turn the compressors on. So that's just a matter of moving the input from the relays to a different source of power. We'll do that. But in the meantime, I'm going to leave it on the charger, let it fill the air compressors up, raise the truck up off the ground, get it off the jack stands. Then we can fire the motor up, put the new wheels on it, drive it, which would be amazing. It's going to be a good day. All right, the moment we've all been waiting for. Now, as I said before, there's a couple of reasons I'm changing the wheels. One, to go with the vibe from the early 90s, but two, these ones are much taller than the ones I'm about to go to, which means when you lower it on the ground, it tucks a lot more rim, which is great, but it requires so much air to lift up the front of the truck to uncover the wheel so you can make U-turns that it rides really bad. You have to put about 100 psi of air in the front airbags to raise it up enough to make turns. And when you drive down the road like that, it doesn't ride great. So by going to a smaller wheel, a shorter tire, it will take less air to uncover the front end. And yeah, it won't tuck as much rim when you lay it on the ground, but it's going to ride better and it'll kind of match the vibe of what I'm going for here. And don't ask me for these wheels because they're already spoken for. Somebody already wants them. I'm not saying you don't deserve them, I'm just saying it's too late. Oh man, here we go. Let me move the tools out of the way and I'll show you what I'm talking about here. Okay, so 20-inch wheel, 17-inch wheel. 17 is obviously smaller. The reason I'm going here, and I'm reiterating myself, but basically these are smaller. Yes, it won't tuck as much rim when you lay it on the ground, but it won't require as much air to uncover the front wheels so you can make U-turns. Less air in the air suspension means it's going to ride softer. It takes about 100 psi to raise the truck up enough to uncover these giant 20s. And although cool when they were installed, everybody was trying to stuff the biggest wheels they could under their mini truck, it's not really the vibe I'm going for. I'm going for the old school early 90s graphics. This is a late 80s, early 90 copy of a Renault R9 wheel. And I think it's going to match the graphics a lot better, and the truck should ride better. And I'm really excited to put them on because I've had these for a while. So let's do this. As long as I didn't blow it when I ordered them, woo, they should fit. They just barely fit, but they should fit. One of the things mini truckers rarely do, because most of us are on a budget when we're building mini trucks, it's the reason we had a mini truck in the first place, is we don't narrow the rear ends very often. It's rare that you see that on a mini truck for a couple of reasons. That takes money, that takes time, that takes skill. Not a lot of mini truckers are buying aftermarket rear ends. So you end up, when you want to tuck the wheels, you end up with a wheel that looks like it belongs on a front-wheel drive car. This lot of offset here, like almost no backspacing. Like this just looks crazy. And to the outside world, this looks weird. To a mini trucker, this looks totally normal. Yes, that is going to tuck. I got about 1.5 fingers. I'd say there's about 5/8 to 3/4 of an inch right there. And because the rear end isn't going to rock that much, we're going to be fine. Yeah, as long as you don't go out of a crazy driveway or go extreme off-roading and try to flex your vehicle as much as possible, like a guy with a Jeep, this shouldn't hit here. All right, let's put the other side on. Oh man, I can't wait to see this. This is gonna be awesome. Oh, it looks so cool. It looks so cool. I love it. Absolutely love it. Okay. Here we go. Oh man, I like them. Look at how much higher it clears the tires now. Before, those 20s were like right here. It would barely get over it. And it was a very stiff ride. Now, let's take some air out of it. Okay, so now I can cruise at a lower height while still making U-turns, and I have some suspension that I didn't have before. Now let's lay it all the way on the ground. All right, how do we look? Oh yeah, we clear. Woo! It's tight, but we clear. Barely clear there. Oh, it looks so cool. I love it. Absolutely love it. Front end looks like it's up a little bit. I wonder if it's sitting on something. Frame is not on the ground. Cross member is on the ground. Frame is not on the ground. Success! I love it. I was so excited. I like the chrome. Goes good with the black. All right. Now, will it run and drive? Can we get it home so that we can then wire up some remote jumper terminals and make this thing charge when it invariably goes dead, because it's going to. God, it's cool. Now the question is, can we get it to start? Hey! It runs so bad. It is so unhappy. We're back, ladies and gentlemen. We're back. It does not run good, but it is running. It is alive. It is moving. We have a battery. All right, everybody, we're back home. Mini truck actually made it here. It's not running great, which is weird. It's popping out the exhaust at idle, but everywhere else it runs perfectly fine. Like cruising down the highway, wide open throttle, it runs great. It's very strange. It's idling way too high, and at first I thought that was a vacuum leak, but if you grab the throttle linkage and close it a little more, then it idles just fine, but it's still popping out of the exhaust. And I am not a side draft carb expert, so I'm going to have to watch a YouTube video or read something to figure out how to tune these carbs again. Because oddly enough, we filmed a roadkill episode about this thing years ago, about rebuilding the top end of the motor. It ran great until I did a burnout. Ever since then, it's been unhappy at idle. But that's not what we're working on right now. Right now, what we're working on is Joe grinding gears, and we've got to fix the battery system because, like I said, battery's under the bed and you have no way to access it when the truck's on the ground. So we're going to get it in here, we're going to make some jumper cables, some remote mount battery terminals. Then we're going to give this thing a bath because I'm going to register it and start cruising it. Oh, I love the new wheels. I know they're small. They're very small. They're only 17s. But man, this is vintage early 90s mini trucking right here. Oh, wait. That sounds awful. Make it stop. That sounds horrible.
I knew it was coming.
Oh, I did it again. That's way after you turn it off, too. That's got to be a bunch of unburnt fuel in the exhaust.
Uh-oh. Why is the buzzer still staying on?
Is the key out? I don't know. Maybe that's why the battery's dying. Close the door, see what happens. Mini truck. Okay, so the list of things we have to fix are the compressors kick on as soon as the ignition turns on. So that relay is getting triggered by the ignition. We don't want that. We want that on its own switch. Because right now, if the truck sits forever and you go to try to start it and it doesn't want to start right away, the compressors are on, draining the battery.
Draining the battery, and that's a lot of power.
Yeah, and then we need remote terminals somewhere where, in the worst case scenario, a truck is flat on the ground, there's no air in the bags, you can't lift it up, the battery's dead. We need a way to be able to jumpstart this thing.
Bed. Right here?
Yeah, but I hate putting holes in things.
Right here. Simple and clean?
Yeah. But
Or we can try and come out right here.
That would be cleaner, like
Right
out
here?
the side, maybe.
Yeah.
We could make a panel, nut-insert it there, and have both terminals, but then they're going to stick out. I'd rather them be... It's a mini truck. I'd rather them be hidden or smooth or, you know what I mean? Like, overly complicated so that it bites you in the ass later, like the battery being under the bed. If this thing is all the way on the ground, can you get to, like, let's say, what if we made a panel right here facing the tire? Could you get in there with 2 alligator clips? Maybe not there. See, and I'd hate to put holes in the bed knowing full well down the road the battery's going to end back up under the hood. Where do we put them? Oh, yeah, fold down the tailgate. Yeah, it's got the arms. I think it's going to stop. Yeah, dude. It could go in here. We could cut a hole, recess a box in there, and then they could be right there. That would be pretty slick. I like this. Wonder what's behind it.
I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, let's do that, because then they're hidden. Nobody will see them.
Yeah. Maybe you just drop the tailgate.
I like that idea. We'll cut a hole. We'll make an aluminum box that goes in from this side, but it's flanged, so it goes right in on it, and it just has 2 nutserts there and holds it. And at the back side of the box, 2 bulkhead connectors that we can hook battery terminals to.
I like it.
All right, there's the plan. Going to work?
Yeah, it's going to work out great. We've got the corners are wide open. We have an air tank in the center. We have plenty of room.
So this is the bed bulkhead. There's the roll pan. Yeah, we can put a box right there. Well, here's the plan. We have this bulkhead in the bed of our truck, which if you're a Toyota mini truck guy, you recognize this is not normal. This should be way down here. However, the bed floor of this truck has been raised up so that all of the suspension components on this really lowered truck are covered by everything. And so what it ended up being is this filler panel got welded in here when the bed floor got raised up and welded back into place. Giveaway is the bed is really shallow in relationship to here. So, if your friends are going to ask you to move in your mini truck, they better have really short items because they're going to fly out. Or you're not going to help them move at all, whatever. But it gave us a perfect area to put our remote battery terminals. Now, I'm not just going to drill holes and shove these things right in here because it'll look lame and the tailgate won't close. What I am going to do is cut a square in here, probably a rectangle, build an aluminum box that's flanged that I can bolt in here, and then these jumper terminals will be recessed into that and hidden so that no one really sees them. They're not unsightly. But if the battery ever goes dead, I can drop the tailgate of the truck, take one of these caps off, and hook a jump box or a battery cable to this, this will have hot leads and a ground lead going to the battery. Finally, it doesn't matter if the truck is sitting on the ground with, you know, no air in the suspension and a dead battery. I have a solution for it. There's a lot of different styles of these. I got all of these from wirecare.com. This is one style. It has a 3/8 stud. This is another style. Giant lugs, which are great. And again, 3/8 studs. And then here's another style. These two are made for mounting in a panel. They're isolated with plastic both sides, and then they have a great locking nut to hold them. This one is a surface mount one. So these ones you drill big holes to go through the panel. These you just mount to the surface. This style is less for what I'm doing and more for you want to distribute power and ground for wiring your car. Bolt these on, run a battery cable to it, and then use ring terminals to hook up the rest of your accessories. These are more of what I'm trying to do. So I'm probably going to end up using this one here. So I'm going to go get the wire rack out, make some cables, build a box, mount this in here, zip tie it all with plug. Yeah, I have a cable tie kit. It's one of the few things in my life I've actually endorsed. This comes from Wirecare. All different kinds of zip ties in the right color that don't break, and has flush cut pliers. It has an installation tool. Some of the zip ties are really, really cool. You know, I obviously, yeah, zip tie is a zip tie, except when you get one that's got a metal blade built into it that you don't even need a tool to install. You just twist it, and it comes out flush. Look at that. That's incredible. I know, you're surprised. Wirecare.com. They have all this for you. Now let's go to work. Titanium, you know, the good stuff. So, titanium sheet metal. This is going to become our box. These are our lines. It's going to be 3 inches wide, 9 inches long. It'll have 3 holes for our disconnect and our battery jumpers. It needs to get bent up and then bent over to flange it. But before I do that, I'm going to put the holes in it, because once it's all together, it'll be a pain in the butt to drill. This is butcher block. Although this is titanium, I feel like this rotabroach has a good chance of going through it. I have a rotabroach for the 2 smaller holes. That monster right there, I have a really crappy unibit. We can start with a good one though. This is a DeWalt. This works great. And then finish it with the crappy one, unfortunately. All right, here's our box. It's clamped to my welding table. This is titanium. No good reason to use it other than the fact that I had it here, and it's kind of cool to say we'll have titanium parts on the mini truck. This is leftover scrap from a long time ago when I made trophies for a roadkill competition where fans got to challenge Freiberger and I in a series of events. It was a lot of fun. So anyway, titanium box, very reactive metal. This is the kind of thing that you would want to weld in a bubble filled with argon. You want an oxygen-free environment. The air that we breathe has a lot of impurities in it, things that will contaminate the weld puddle. So when welding titanium, if you have the means, which I don't, you put it in a bubble, fill the bubble with argon, then weld, which means your torch and your consumables, everything has to be in the bubble as well. I don't have that ability, but what I do have is a really large gas lens and cup for the end of my TIG torch. Now what this does is this allows me to flow a large amount of argon through here over the weld puddle and shield the weld puddle from the air. Now these things come in several sizes. Here's a number 6, very small outlet as you can see compared to this number 16. This is the sort of thing I'd use on aluminum. Here's a number 12. This is the sort of thing I'd use on stainless steel. This monster number 16, titanium. It's rare that I ever weld this stuff, and I'm fairly mediocre at it, but I'm pretty sure I can stick this together. And so Joe's going to come over here and squeeze these two parts together while trying to keep his dirty, greasy hands away from the weld area. And then I'm going to weld that seam, that seam, that seam, and that seam, and then we can put this in the truck. Oh man, I'm so excited about this.
Looks good.
They came out pretty good for welding titanium for me. Like that's not bad. I'll take that. This is gonna go right in here, and put blue tape, mark it, drill the corners with a drill bit so that they're round, and we'll cut out our freshly painted mini truck. I'm gonna guess that this is probably the only titanium battery disconnect box for a Toyota mini truck. It's unnecessary. Yay, I did it without hitting the paint. Alright, now we gotta connect these. Okay, cross your fingers. Oh yeah, that's thick. That's the mini truck stuff. That's an 1/8-inch plate welded in here to raise the bed floor up. The question is, did I cut enough to put it in there? No, I did not. Need some churching up here. Yeah, a little massaging in the corners with a file. Yeah, a little filing. We're there. Let me get a file. Oh, we're nowhere near it, are we? Oh, that's a lot of stuff on the floor. A lot of grinding. Boom. There we go.
Oh, that's going to be so tricky.
We can drill and tap all these holes, no nuts from the backside. Just stick a number 10 screw in there, button head. Done. Sean Carlson, I think, would like this. That is what I judge every mini truck mod by. What would Sean Carlson do? Yes. Try again. Yes! Dude, I'm so excited about this. So that's the ground?
That's our ground to the chassis.
Yeah.
We're all tight. Everything else is tied in up here. You get your power.
Looking good.
Ground. to the charging post to the chassis, jumpers over to here for our switch, and then feeds ground back to the battery. So we can have the switch turned off, still put the charging on. It'll charge the battery without the truck being powered on.
Looking good, JC. All right, it's the next day. We got a lot of work done yesterday. I'm very psyched on our new remote jumper terminal box / battery disconnect. Might be the only mini truck with a titanium one in the world. I don't know. Not going to claim it, but I'm just going to point it out a lot over and over again because I like it. Let's see. Next up, the other issue we had in addition to the battery going dead was our air compressors were wired so that every time the ignition key turned on, the compressors would start running. Usually because, it's airbags, everything leaks, so the tank would go empty. And we don't want that because the truck is sometimes hard to start, and if the air compressors are drawing a lot of amps from the battery while you're trying to crank the starter motor over, that's a recipe for disaster. So Joe figured out which wire goes to the air compressors to trigger the relays. I found an old rocker switch amongst the junk I have. Joe pulled this knockout panel from the dash, which is just a factory, delete panel for a switch that should have been there for something else. And I'm going to show you a quick and fairly easy way to install that switch in that panel. Now, yeah, we could have gone with, there's a lot of really nice high-end new switches that are labeled and light up and do all kinds of crazy stuff, but this is not that. Remember, 90s. Early 90s. Yeah, 90s mini truck. And I don't have a Dremel moto tool here, which would have been the right way to do this, but I have really tiny drill bits. So all I'm going to do is put on my glasses so I can see, and then I'm going to drill out the corners. Oh, I should have told you how I knew where the corners should be. Okay, so dial calipers. I measured the length and the width of the switch. Okay. Then I measured the length and the width of our panel. I subtracted the dimensions of the switch from the panel. That gave me the center that I need to knock out. Now, to figure out the position of where I needed to drill everything, I just cut the length in half and the width in half, set the caliper to that, and then drug it right down the side to scribe it. So if you look close there, I've scribed the line using the calipers. Now I know exactly how much material I got to remove to pop that switch in. And so I'll do the corners here. And it's plastic, and it's a small drill bit, so I don't necessarily need to center punch it. Okay, so there's the 4 corners, right? I don't have a death wheel that'll go in there and take that out without just taking out the whole part. And I don't really have any other tool to do this with. But I have a small drill bit. And I'll just keep going all the way around until I connect all those holes. Then knock the piece out, then go in there with a small file, and because it's plastic, it's easy to file, I'll flatten everything out. And that's how I'm going to do that with minimal tools. Here we go, tiny holes. This is less of a tip and more of a, you could do it this way. I just don't recommend it. One of my first jobs was working at Circuit City, installing car stereos. And back then, Toyota trucks were real popular. And speakers and a stereo were optional in 90s Toyota trucks. So was the back bumper. So we get a lot of people that would come straight from the dealership into Circuit City to get a head unit and door speakers put in. Well, there were no factory provisions for the door speakers. So you had to cut the door panel and you had to cut the metal behind it. Yeah. Well, back then, Circuit City, I don't know if it's changed, they didn't provide tools. You had to have your own tools. And so they hired me off the street, and I didn't have a lot of tools back then. And I wasn't about to blow my entire first paycheck on tools when I needed to eat McDonald's and buy wheels for my mini truck. So I had very few tools. So the way I would install the door speakers in those trucks is I would just sit there and draw the circle and go all the way around and then connect the dots with my tin snips, and then I got really fast at that. I could do a head unit and door speakers and an antenna because they didn't have antennas either. I could do all that in like an hour and a half back in the day. So I now have the perimeter done, right? And I'm going to try to do what Joe said not to do, which was just connect the dots using the drill bit. If you go too fast, it melts together, and then but I am not going to go fast. You know, and again, I'm not saying this is the right way to do this. I'm saying if you have no other options, this will do the job. Boom. Yeah, a little filing.
So is that just your little files in 8-inch thick slate?
Oh, yeah. Okay, we're in. That is yours to wire, sir. Enjoy.
Thank you.
This thing got repainted over a year ago, tucked away in the warehouse, and it is filthy. I've never cleaned it. Today's the day. Look at that. Flies scratching the dust into the roof, fly.
Kinda.
Looks so good. All right, folks, here's the lineup. Bubble sauce goes in the bucket. There's your soap for cleaning. Topless sauce if you have a convertible. Leather sauce, obviously, for leather. This cleans and conditions it. Trim sauce for all the black parts on your vehicle. Talking like mirrors and rubber gaskets, that sort of thing. Secret sauce, spray detailer. Glass sauce for cleaning the windows. Techno sauce is for all the screens in your vehicle. You know, your touch screen. Oddly enough, this truck actually has one of those, so we'll be using it. Anyway, this is the entire lineup from Bling Sauce. This is the platinum line of car care. I have a long history with Bling Sauce because they make the best marine detailing products on the planet. So I've been using them on my drag boats for a long time. Well, now they have stuff for cars and trucks and RVs and dirt bikes and UTVs and all that stuff. And the stuff is really good. It's made right here in the USA. It is non-toxic. It is not hazardous. The key here is I am not a detailer. I'm not a professional. I don't do this every weekend. This stuff is designed to be easy. Spray it, wipe it, rub it, wipe it off. You're done. You're going to put amateur effort into using these products and get professional level results. And why are we talking about Bling Sauce today and their platinum line of car care products? Because they want you to go to the SEMA Show. Here's how we can party in Vegas. This whole deal is brought to you by the folks at Bling Sauce and its platinum line of car care products. They want to bring you to Vegas. And not just you and your best bud. You guys are going to get airfare to Vegas, private transportation to the Paris hotel where you're going to stay. You're going to get 2 SEMA badges that get you in an exclusive party, right? The SEMA convention, historically, it's a trade show for manufacturers, distributors, and retailers of custom car products. It's really not open to the public, or at least it hasn't been in the past, but you guys can go if you win this contest. While you're in Vegas, you're going to get a SuperCar driving experience, which is incredible. We're going to go to dinner. It's going to be amazing. You're going to be there from Halloween night until November 2nd. So that's 3 days and 2 nights in Vegas, courtesy of Bling Sauce. I wish you luck. I hope you win. I'll see you there. Oh, this thing's all messed up. It's hard to be a professional level detailer when you're using worse than amateur equipment. Oh, there we go. Now we got some horsepower. We got suds. I rarely do this because most of my vehicles don't even have paint on them. But this truck I will put all the love into. Here's a tip for you guys. Suck it up drying towel. From a mini trucker, mailed to me. Thing's incredible. I can dry this entire truck with 1 towel. Probably 2 trucks. It's unreal. Joe's wrapping up the drying process. And now that's a brand new towel designed specifically for drying cars. And if you look, you can see there's some streaks here. This is why we need to go back and do another step. And I'm gonna grab the secret sauce and the trim sauce. The trim sauce, this is for all the rubber and plastic and, you know, things that were once black that have turned gray from the sun. The secret sauce, this is what we're gonna spray on now to really detail and finish off this truck. And it's simple. You spray it on, you rub it in, you wipe it off. Like, it's going to look like a pro did it, but we're not going to put a lot of effort into this. Like, we're not spending all day doing this. It's basically secret sauce. You spread it with the first microfiber, right? You do like a 3 to 4 foot section. Microfiber number 2, rub it in a circular motion. And then your third microfiber, you just wipe it off. Oh, God. Look at that. No streaks. Oh, I've never had a nice black paint job where I could do this and actually see the results.
You can see where we dried it, kind of.
You see it's
the swirl marks. Here.
Oh, dude.
It's amazing.
Like, this just wants to slide on this. Like, I've never had a nice paint job that was black where I could actually see the difference of doing this stuff. So before, whenever I detailed, I just went through the motions and went, yeah, it's probably good.
And honestly,
I like it.
It smells good.
It does smell.
Missed a spot right here.
Did I?
Right here.
That's your spot. I'm going to guess that this glass probably has some overspray on it from the paint job. And some bugs right there. Oh yeah, you can already see the difference between that side and this side. It was filthy.
And now here's your techno sauce. Granted, we only have this tiny little screen in here, but for all those people with Mercedes and Land Rovers and, you know, those really expensive cars, you could clean a lot more than just your little Pioneer touchscreen radio. You got dashes that are all LCD now, center consoles, rear TVs, all that stuff.
How about that gauge cluster?
Yeah, we can do that.
It's looking a little cloudy.
Well, it's looking a little cloudy because she's got 312,000 miles on it.
Oh no, see, it's already better. It's already cleaner. She's done. Thanks for hanging out with us on Finnegan's Garage. Remember, check out the description for instructions on how to get involved in this contest, and maybe you and a friend can meet me in Vegas in November. Good luck. Never fails. I never detail anything. Just washed, detailed the entire mini truck. And now, this. Why isn't it in the garage? Because this rusty hunk of crap is in the garage. Up on jack stands. And that one doesn't run. It's a lot of bare metal on that one. It's rusting out.